angry. I'm talking about they want everybody gone. I think we had maybe one guy who came in the end and kind of just, he said some enlightening stuff, but that was it. It was just like kind of too little, you know. And it's interesting because I swear, hold on, we're gonna get started. We're gonna get started because this is my philosophy. This is the thing that I have. We'll talk about the Wizards game, and then we'll bring up this philosophy because I swear this is what everybody wanted. Tear it down to the studs. We said this for years. And they said that they would support a team that is losing as long as it's being built the right way. And now everybody's losing their mind. So let me get this thing started. We got to talk about this game. We got to talk about it's some interesting questions some people brought up last night that I was like, you know what? I really believe Rod would do a good job of answering these. But all right. All right, what up, though, people? It is your boy Detroit Kool-Aid. I guess it's the season now. You got to also call me Brandon Dent as well. And I am joined by the legend. I'm going to do this drum roll real quick since you guys see Jeff Freddy. Hey, shout out Jeff and Gentry Show. They're out right now on location, filming or going live at Planet Fitness right now on the Morning Woodward Show. So he wanted to be on this morning. I saw him. I thought for a brief second, I thought it was him when I saw his Pope Mobile kind of driving off, going the way of towards Planet Fitness where they're shooting the Morning Woodward Show this morning. So I kind of gave him a faint wave as he kind of drove off. But hey, shout out to Jeff.
He might remember us when one day he'll remember us when we're the little people.
So hopefully, man, I hope he remembers us. But
Woodward Pistons. Yeah, I did that little show when I was starting out. That little show, I did that for a minute, but now I'm on. Bring me my latte. Where's my latte?
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. He hit me up this morning. He was like, man, I really want to be on. I'm like, oh, sure. But Mike Curtis too. He hit me up. He was like, man, I'm in the airport. I just want to get home and spend a few days in my bed. He was like, yo, and I was like, see you at the game tonight. As if, I know he's coming home, exactly. But it's like, but let's get this drum roll going. To Mike,
yes.
Huh?
Go ahead. All right. Go ahead.
Hey, yo, shout out to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. All right, finish that point, brother.
I talked to Mike yesterday, and this is his first kind of long road trip. This was 6 days, I think it was. I think he left on Thursday or Friday last week. And just how you feeling, how you doing. But mentally, if you're a beat writer, the losses kind of start to weigh on you because you want to be up for the wins. And for the losses, you want to kind of cover it right and make sure you answer people's questions and tell them what's going on. But it's still it starts to weigh on you. And look, and I'm just as happy as I can be. It's just this team doesn't control my day. If they win or lose, it's not the beginning or end of my day. There's more stuff to worry about than whether a rebuilding team loses by 20 or not. It just it's. Go ahead. I'll let you get to your points, and I will chime in where necessary because I think you have the voice of. You're getting the voice of a rational person, and you've had the voice of a rational person. It's just trying to calm everybody else down.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Look, last night the Pistons fell to the Washington Wizards 119-98. This was a game where beforehand I asked the people, on socials, who do you think is going to win? Everybody was pretty confident this was the Pistons night. The way the game started, I thought it was going to go their way. But then we kind of saw some of those careless turnovers that Coach Casey, it's not like they've put buried their heads in the sand about it. He talked about this all preseason. He said this is something that goes back to last season. Rod, you brought it up on this show when a lot of us really weren't talking about it, that they got this kind of turnover issue they got to figure out that has kind of plagued them since last year. That crept up towards the end of the first quarter. I looked at the play-by-play, and it was just like, offensive foul, bad pass by Killian, bad pass, Cade, Brick, in that first quarter, and that lead that they jetted out to kind of vanished, and they never quite got back on their heels. And that's kind of the way that the game went. They were kind of punching from the back the whole time, trying to catch up, but they kind of ran out of gas. And like when I look at it, it makes a lot of sense. This team's depth has been exposed. It's been
Mm-hmm.
exposed. Now, it's not necessarily the team, but more or less the injuries. It's not like Troy Weaver put together a team that was thin as we were coming into the season. We say, yo, they have kind of a gluttony of guys in the guard, position, gluttony of guys at the big man position. But when you're down Marvin Bagley and Nerlens Noel, that changes up everything you can do. Anything you can
Mm-hmm.
do, even slotting and changing up how you play your players, your shooters and your offensive players off the bench and things of that nature, or how you play some of your starters with bench players. When all you have as legitimate big men is Jalen Duren, and man, what if he wasn't ready? Wow. What if he wasn't ready to the degree that we see? Let me put it that way. And Isaiah Stewart, that's it. I keep seeing people say, play them together. You can't. People say play them together, and then they complain about small ball.
You know what? You know who says play it together? You can't
play them together. There's no big after that.
You know who says play them together? Video game people, because they think, oh, well, their energy meter will go back up in 2 minutes. They can sit on the bench for 2 minutes and then their energy meter they'll be back. That's not how this works. You can't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just kind of running through the game, running through some points, running through some things that I heard from fans last night. It was a lot of fans, over 200 concurring at one point in time, over 400, 500 came through throughout. We wound up standing on there for 2 hours, bro, because the numbers just kept getting bigger, and we kept seeing what people were saying. We were like, no, we must take this challenge on. If the shoe fits, we were gonna put it on Cinderella. If it didn't fit, we were gonna make sure we shot it down. Like this one isn't it. And so I get some people. I'm telling you, bro, look, some people were like, look, man, these are excuses, these are this is that. I'm like, no. We can judge this team on a game by game basis. But we all came into this season stating that we wanted to see this team for years, stating, tear it down to the studs. We will support a team that's losing as long as they're doing it the right way. We all came into this year stating this was an evaluation year. They were going to be learning to compete. Coach Casey threw out the gauntlet of no blowouts, compete every single night. With the injuries, I kind of get it. I do get it. But what are people really, really expecting? What are people actually looking at? There are some things to judge game by game, and we'll criticize those things game by game. But in reality, what's going on right now on the court is only going to be fixed by two things. Marginally, when your injured players get back, Alec Burks is going to help. Marvin Bagley is our legitimate pick and roll lob threat. We don't really have that right now. Duren is trying, but we don't have it the way that we saw Marvin Bagley come in last year and just absolutely infuse a lot. And we don't have Nerlens Noel. Those three guys just coming back right now add so much to a bench that's getting punched in the mouth every single week because they just don't have the talent. This thing is going to be fixed. Secondly, like largely, so marginally when those guys get back. To me, largely though, it's not a Troy Weaver problem. It's Troy Weaver's responsibility, and he's been shown to handle that. 6 first-round draft picks in the last 3 years to give us that influx or infusion of young talent that this organization can build off of, and we are in year 3. So I want to tell people, look, from that context, that's where a lot of my statements come from. It's from looking at this thing a little bit zoomed out and realizing it's a little bit of a bigger picture. If this was next year, if this was 2 years from now, and this squad was playing like this, you guys, I'm telling you, we would be here probably saying the same things you are. But because this is year 3 of the restoration, and Troy told us, I'm not letting anybody speed me up or slow me down. We're going to do this thing the right way. Yo, you got to kind of just go with that. And yeah, about that Jeremy Grant-sized hole on offense and defense.
I mean, but Bojan is playing well, so I'm not concerned about the offensive side of that. But a couple of points. One, a few weeks ago when we were talking about play-in or playoff team, what did we say? Tell me 5 teams that this Pistons team is better than. 5 guaranteed teams. We couldn't do it. But who were those fringe teams that we were talking about? Maybe. The Wizards lost to them by 21 last night. The Pacers lost to them by 9 the other night.
That was the
So
disappointing loss.
So if you're not beating these teams that are in the 5 that you have to beat to be better than and finish higher in the standings, if you're not beating them, you're not making it, because you're not going to make up the difference in beating the good teams in order to do it, and they're just not playing good quality enough basketball to come out and win games when they're not playing well. That's just not going to happen. And we said tell me the first 10 games or 20 games of the season. Tell me how they look. Tell me what their record would be, and I'll tell you what this looks like. And neither one is coming out good.
Yep. No, I agree, man. I agree. And that's the thing. It's, the team looks young. I said this on the stream last night. They were like, it's the lineups, it's the rotations, it's this. Casey has to this, that, and the other. I'm like, guys, Casey lost 2 legitimate NBA vet rotation guys, not NBA veterans like Rodney Magruder, who it might be time to give him a shot just to shoot a few threes if Hami can't get it going. But Jeremy Grant and Kelly Olynyk were 2 big losses. You're talking about guys who already know what to do on the court. They were just trying to expand their already good games. When you lose those guys from a starting lineup, that is huge. You cannot underestimate that. You look at what Kelly O is doing right now. Aren't Portland and Utah like at the top of the West right now? Their teams,
indeed.
So you can't underestimate those losses. Those losses are huge, man.
And it's still very early, so let's not press the panic button yet and say that you still have the same record as the Sixers and Miami, and a half game behind Brooklyn. So we're not pressing the panic button like the season is over. Let's get sicker for Victor. We're not doing that. It's not that. It's not that yet. But you want to see signs that they are doing things right and they're moving in that right direction.
Yeah, set the perspective, right?
The bench isn't playing well yet, led by Killian. You're just getting Livers back from injury. You're just getting Knox back. He's still rounding into form. So you are kind of limited in what you can do. But the turnovers are an issue. The turnovers have been an issue. They're going to be a consistent issue. And I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. This team doesn't look cohesive right now. They just don't look like they've been playing together and playing well. You haven't seen these streaks where they get on a 10-0 run or 15-0 run and really just do it, just try to run somebody off the court. We haven't seen that. And that's the sign of a winning team, is they know how to turn that on and get a bucket when they need a bucket and stop the other team's run. It's not just you have a 10-0 run, but you can stop a 10-0 run when it's happening. And it's the lengthening of these games and where the leads get stretched out. We've seen that defensively, they can't get stops and they can't stop these runs.
That's it right there. And you said something too. I'm looking at the box scores. Last night they only assisted on a third of their made buckets. That to me proves, and they took 88 shots, man. They took more shots than the Wizards. And that speaks to it right there. They don't know necessarily how to play with each other. You see that the guy who's the most, like we said, the most mature, and the reason why we dedicated a whole Cade zone throughout the summer, the most mature is Cade Cunningham. He is the best playmaker on this team by far. You see it in his assists. He's averaging 6-7 assists a game right now on a team that is having a hard time scoring. In preseason and last year, I talked about the fact that it looked like guys were having a hard time. They weren't. It just didn't seem like guys were really scoring at a high clip off of Cade Cunningham. And Sean Murphy actually dug into the stats and showed Cade Cunningham was second in potential assists. So so my eyes were not deceiving me, but this year, he's actually setting up guys even more. And he talked about that, trying to get more into getting those passes into scorers' pockets, getting it, even the interior passing, he's getting a lot better at. And we see him averaging more assists right now than he did last year. He's averaging the assists that he averaged in that hot stretch post All-Star break. And so Cade, he has continued to show to be a good playmaker. Jaden Ivey, he is shown to be a good playmaker who needs a little bit more polish. His speed just gets him open. It absorbs people to or like around him, and as long as he has shooters and as long as he understands where they are, take a little bit of heat off that pass, he's going to be fine. But after that, it's been pretty bleak. I haven't even seen the Killian that I saw in preseason. And Coach Casey talked about that last night. He said in his post-game press conference, he's not looking the same way that he was then, but we need to figure it out. And so, yeah, you're right, man. The chemistry here is lacking. And it's to be expected. You know, when you see these super teams get together, or when you see a young team get together, they always get that pass of let these guys learn to play together. This is 4 games in.
Mhm.
I believe that this Pistons team is one of those injured players being back away from being 2-2 on the season. They had Marvin Bagley, if they had another shooter, something of the nature. I think the big would have added a little bit more because their paint defense and their inability to stop some of these guards from coming down and getting into the paint has been an issue. You know, the Wizards shot 30% from 3
Mhm.
last night, but 52% from the field.
Can't get stops. Can't
They
get stops. That's it.
Yeah. The eye test, the stats tell this is one where the stats and the eye test they completely align. Completely align.
Mhm.
Everything that you're rattling off, these box scores tell the story.
Mhm.
Um, to go through the box score real quick, Bojan Bogdanovic continues to be one of the most low. He's just low maintenance, man. I don't think I've ever seen a player this low maintenance. I think the last plug and play player of significance, a guy they got who I didn't know how it was gonna go, and they just kind of fit. Would you say Rasheed Wallace? And obviously that was to a different
That's
situation, different
fair.
team.
Yeah.
That team was competitive, but he just kind of fit in. It was a player with high offensive talent, came in and just kind of fit in right away where a lot of people were questioning. And it just seemed to be low maintenance. Everyone said about Sheed coming in, oh, he's gonna be high maintenance, he's gonna be this, he's gonna be that.
Mhm.
Came right in here, he just fit in, People kind of respected his voice. I see Bojan right now, the team, the young, he's a good vet type guy to have out there who can still go out there and get buckets. He led the team in scoring again, as he has like pretty much the entire regular season, with 25 points, 4 of 7 from 3, 8 of 13 field goals, 5 of 5 free throws. Just just easy, easy going, man. 3 rebounds, 1 assist. So he's out there to score. That's it. I saw a couple nice wrinkles to his game too, where he put his back to the basket, got into the paint, hit some fadeaways. I liked it. Cade Cunningham is the interesting one here. I haven't noticed him to be struggling yet. I noticed that he continues to kind of get off to a slow pace with scoring in
Mhm.
a game, and he continues to do exactly what we've been saying since last year. He hits that third quarter, and then all of a sudden he starts to score a little bit differently. And I said this last night and after the Pacers game. Tim McCormick from Woodward Sports stated maybe it would be good for Cade to look for his a little bit earlier, get going
Yep.
earlier.
Yep. I
And
agree with that.
yeah, I agree. At first, I was like, well, maybe with Jaden Ivey, because I noticed he's been kind of deferring to him early. Maybe with Jaden Ivey, they can do that. But what I'm realizing is this: with the IQ that Cade has, if he goes out there and just hits his spots early, then I feel like the Pistons will be in less of a position where he's having to shoot long threes and contested shots in the third and fourth quarter to come back. That's where his shot attempts are starting to pile up. People say he shot 19 and 20. What do you mean he's shoot more? No, it's when and how. In the beginning
Mhm.
of these games, we see it. He's always with that kind of 4 or 5 points, but he'll have his 4 or 5 assists. He'll have his 2 or 3 rebounds. He'll have those are the stats. By the time he gets to the third quarter, he's always usually like a few buckets away from being on triple double watch.
Yep.
But the more I look at this team come out and the way that it's slated right now, if they had everybody healthy, I could kind of see that working how he's playing right now. But for what's going on right now, he might have to pick up that scoring a little bit early. Just to read this stat line, and I want to get your thoughts on Cade Cunningham as well, Rod. 7 to 19 shooting, 5 to 6 from the free throw line. So he's getting those foul calls. Missed his
Mhm.
threes tonight, 0 of 2. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers. 19 points. Only one of his turnovers were egregious. It was one where you could tell he wanted to pass it to Duran on the baseline, but he
Mhm.
saw the shooter and just whiffed on the pass.
Yep.
So I don't know how much I will hold that against him in that 3, but Yeah, with Cade Cunningham on the season 2, I'll give you a season stats. 18 and a half points. That's tied for 9th in the NBA. 4 rebounds. That's tied for 51st in the NBA. 6 assists a game. That is tied for 3rd in the NBA for Cade Cunningham. And before this game, it was at 7 assists. So the 3 brought that average down just a little bit. But, there's a lot of people who are stating he's struggling this season. There's a lot of people stating he's playing weird this season. What are you seeing when you look at Cade Cunningham, hearing the stats, seeing the games? What's your honest takeaway from this?
I think Cade is the one that I think about when I say this team plays a little disjointed, and they need to be on his back, and he needs to carry this team early in games, like start the game and establish, here's how we're going to play. And that's tough for a point guard to do, is to come in and say, here's our offense, we're running it to perfection, and here's the efficiency that we're going to have with it. I'm creating shots for people, and I'm making a couple of shots too, so you got to respect me both ways. And that's Cade's MO. That's what he does, is he runs an offense and he can pick his spots to where he's supposed to be the guy. So I think that's what's lacking, is when you start games, can you start 6 of 8 from the field, or 5 of 8 from the field, because you're running the offense and you're getting guys their shots in their spots. That's what I want to see from Cade a little bit more. And he's got the consistency. The numbers are there from a game to game. His 3-point percentage is right where it was last year. Yeah. So that part's not struggling. I think for him now, it's the cerebral part of it. Now it's the, can he lift the team in other ways that are not in the box score? Can he get us on track quickly in what we're trying to do? And he can't live in the, I'm going to save us every game in the 3rd and 4th quarter. And that was the point that you brought up.
Right.
He's got to be a guy who save us in the 2nd quarter, so we don't go down 15 at halftime or 10 at halftime. Give me something right at the end of the 2nd quarter to keep us right in this game. Or start the 3rd quarter, we're down by 8, get me back to 4. That's the subtle kind of thing. And I'm not saying he's got to do that tomorrow, but that's the sign that the really good players, when you watch, watching the Golden State Phoenix game last night, Chris Paul hit a 3 right before halftime, 3-point lead, turn it into a 6-point lead. Those are the kinds of things that you need your point guard and your leader to do, is to make a game from close to give me a little bit more distance in that. Point I wanted to make about Bogdanovich too, is he's not hogging the offense. He's not a black hole where he needs the ball in a corner. When he gets the ball, it's in the framework of the offense, and he's taking that shot.
He's open every time.
But that's the thing, and that's part of what Cade and Ivy are doing, is on that penetration. Bojan is the guy in the corner, and he's taking that 3, and that's better offense than people said last year with Jeremy Grant. Is that he needs the ball. You're going to ISO him on the elbow and try to run something from there, and then you're just kind of, well, he makes the shot or he doesn't. That you're kind of stuck in that. With Bojan, it is very much you're running your actions, you're doing everything else. You break down, boom, he's in the corner, boom, he's on the wing right there, and you're getting a good look. What is he shooting from 3? I meant to look.
Yeah, I was just pulling that up right now. On the year, it's got to be 51.7% for
and that's
Bojan?
Exactly it. That's it. 52%.
52 from the field, 52 from 3, 92.3 from free throw.
Get your mans.
20.8 points a game, 3.8 rebounds, about 4 rebounds, about 2.5 assists per game.
What's the total? 15 of 29 from 3.
So he's taking threes.
And he's making threes. This guy, I mean, that's what you need. And at 52% is not sustainable, but it means he's taking the right shots. Now, here's something for you.
Oh man. He's the ultimate conundrum, man.
Break these numbers down. Nah, that's crazy. He's 15 of 29 from 3. From 2, he's 13 of 25. He's made and taken more threes than twos.
Bro, and have you seen the level of difficulty on his twos? I know there's a lot of people that look at him and just say 3-point shooter. The 2-pointers he's taking are like one-legged, fadeaways, back to the basket. These I'm actually a little bit more impressed. You know, it goes back to the old adage that you told us. Look, obviously you're a professional in this industry, you know, long time. You told us, look, even as a professional, we're clued into our teams. We don't really have the opportunity to go and look at some of these other players. I'm looking at Bojan right now, like, where's he been all this time? Oh, in Utah. You just ain't been looking. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you got to stay up late to catch the Utah games, but that he's a good plug and play player, as you said. But it's very much he does what you need him to do. But these numbers show you when you run your action, when you run your offense, and the ball finishes with him, he finishes the play. He finishes and scores. That's what you need. Is not a guy who needs it, who gets the ball at 16 on the shot clock and you're running ISO. You need a guy who gets the ball at 5 or 4 and hits that 3. Or when you got him in ISO, he can do something with the ball and he can finish at the rim too. But 12 or 13 from the free throw line. He's getting to the free throw line at a sufficient enough rate that, I mean, I can close this page. I got no beefs with Bojan at all. He's exceeding expectations.
This is the conundrum, though. I always assumed he would come in here and play good, play himself into being an asset. A question, you know, hey, for the right price, we let him go. But you know, if not, he serves our team a good purpose. Is he transcending that notion of he just serves a good purpose, all for the right price, we let him go, with the effect he can have on Cade and Jaden, or is there always a price tag? You know, hey, let's shop him. You know, which way are you leaning as it relates to Bojan? Because the more that I'm seeing and the effect he can have, you know, you trade him. I feel like that does extend that window, that restoration window, just a little bit more.
I think he's not your long-term answer because of his age. That if you get him for another year or two, then that's fine. But you're not going to give him, and that's maybe up to his agent and maybe up to Troy to say, we need him for another year because coming in the draft, we can get another young guy.
Yeah.
But with those types of numbers, man, that's you might be able to get a first round pick for him at the deadline. If the Pistons are out of it, you might be able to get somebody's first round pick. If he's hitting, let's say 40, 42, 43% from 3 and who he is,
that's not out of the realm of possibility either.
You don't think some contender is going to come knocking and say, hey, this is a guy that we can use.
Troy might be able to finesse a pick and a player with what we've seen him do. With Bojan is hitting a legit 42%, and we know that he's a guy that can. We talk about the Pistons going on those runs and those spurts. It's only 3 individual players that can really do that on this team right now. That's Ivy, Cunningham, and Bojan. And a lot of times that's been what the Pistons have relied on for offense. It's almost like instant oatmeal. Just add the water and stir, get out of the way. You know, don't eat it too quick. It's going to be hot type of thing. That's Bojan Bogdanovic.
How does he look on Phoenix's roster? They love Cam Johnson.
Gracious, man.
But how does if Phoenix decides they got to go all in and push all the chips in the middle of the table, would you take a first? I don't even know if they have a first round pick. Let me check that. But that's
wait.
Let's put a pin in that.
Phoenix?
But
again, don't do this to me, Rod. Because they do got a big man over there.
let me check this and see, because I believe. I can't remember whether they have a first round pick, but something like that. If you no picks incoming, no picks outgoing. There you go.
Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, they got their picks.
That would be if they've had any conversation in the past, man, that would be an attractive team to do anything with. Just even looking at their roster, if there was a Bojan trade at the deadline, man, oh man, Phoenix Suns.
And I'm just saying, I'm saying something like that, something like
right.
a Phoenix, something like a team like that says, hey, we can do something here. and I'm trying to think of another team that kind of needs a 3-4 type guy. But I mean, that's just look at that and
It's gonna
say
be
that's
interesting.
right. But if you say Boyan, you can bring him back on a 1 year or a 2 year deal to help with the rebuild, because I think he's exactly what they need. You said low maintenance, and I like that term of yeah. He doesn't need you to do a lot for him. He at 19 mil, 20 mil. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be ready for free agency this year, you can clear that off the books. You take the draft pick, you get another controllable contract, and then you just try to make a bigger splash in free agency and make somebody believe
You're right.
that Ivy and Cade and everybody else is what you're building around, and that's the piece that's going to be there.
Especially with the decisions that have to be made. We talked about that all summer. Some of these, some of Troy's first draft picks, there are some big decisions that have to be made. Somebody has to be paid out. And if you can get a, controllable, cheaper contract, somebody who's coming in with high expectations as a high or lottery draft pick, yeah, I would do something like that. I definitely would, especially in this draft. I think this draft is very, very sneaky good, just like last year's was. As we got into the draft and into the meat and potatoes, we started realizing, what, this draft goes beyond those top three. When we fell, you made sure to comfort all of us who were pining for Jabari Smith.
all of you, all of you,
yeah, all of you people out there, right?
Everybody named Brandon. I was comforting
him. Look. It's going to be interesting. This team, when you zoom out and you look at this team and you assess it from this standpoint, from the seat of maybe a Troy Weaver, that's when you can see this team is headed in the right direction. We want to see this team be competitive, but it's 4 games in. It's 4 games in. The team is a little bit banged up right now, and they're banged up at a position that they desperately need, and that's the big man. Marvin Bagley was supposed to play a big role. I got to go back and look at the contracts, but is Marvin Bagley the highest paid Piston right now?
No, it's Boyan. It's
Boyan now. But before it was what, Kelly O and then Marvin. So they basically just swapped it. I believe he's still second on the team with that contract.
Yeah, Marvin's 12 and a half.
Huh?
12 and a half for Marvin.
Yep. So he's supposed to play a big role. As it relates to the game itself, some of the things that you wish can get cleaned up. Coach Casey has talked about it as well. The perimeter defense, the switching defense, the paint defense, just any defense like you started off with, they can't stop anybody. Cade Cunningham looks like his perimeter defense, his defense overall looks like it's taking a step forward. I don't know if anyone's kind of looking at that, but Cade Cunningham looks very, very stout. The same methodical pace he plays with on offense, it actually looks like it helps him a lot on defense because he's not biting a lot on fakes. He looks very, very strong as well in his defensive stance when he gets to the paint. Is where I'm hoping, when his hands are up, that's where I'm hoping that they're not calling that foul on him. Jaden Ivey gets called for that foul. I know he's a little bit shorter. Cade Cunningham, they've kind of allowed him to play a little bit more in that. He's gotten called for fouls more for like kind of errantly reaching. Like the player is already by him into the paint. And he'll reach in.
He's in the cookie jar on that.
Yeah. Yep. Now you got to stop. But overall, the defense is not looking like it's going to be fixed anytime soon. Just by the things that I'm looking at.
They are allowing 49% field goal percentage, 26th in the league. 26th in the league, just on straight field goal percentage. From 3 is 37, from 2 is 56.
Yeah.
So they're not stopping very much of anything at all. And it's just you can't do that. You can allow those numbers if you get the critical stops when you need them. And they're not rebounding, or they're not stopping other teams from rebounding. They're 28th in rebounds allowed. So I mean it's little stuff like that. That is that's just that you can't build off that. You can't do very much with that at all.
Yeah, and I'm glad you provided those numbers because it continues to cement even more kind of the issue. And when I look at the Pistons, their inability to defend almost seems to affect everything else in the game. They look like they're getting frustrated after a while,
Hmm.
and it looks like certain players on offense, when the offense is not necessarily hitting shots, then it's going to put a little bit more pressure on guys like Ivy, on Cade, on Bojan, and they may press a little bit more because they have to.
Hmm.
When you go 2, 3, 4 plays in a row where you can't stop the team making easy layups at the rim, the Pistons, I gotta look it up again, but they gave up a few and ones as well last night. That's something that I want to, like I said, I want to kind of pause before I add, put any judgment on there. But is this something that you put more on a scheme or more on an effort type issue, or more on they have to continue to learn the NBA defense?
They gotta learn it a little bit too, and especially when you've got sets where you've got Duran and Ivy in there at the same time. It just takes time to know, okay, here's instinctively what this guy is going to do. I know what this guy is going to do. So the starters might know what Stewart is going to do, but now when you're in with Duran, he behaves differently. He allows different stuff, or he covers different stuff for you. And that's the cohesiveness I'm talking about too, is it shows up on the defensive end where you just got to say, okay, well, this guy got by me. If Duran is back there, he can erase it a little bit better, or not even better, differently than Stewart can. So who's behind me? And you can't think about it in the middle of the play. You just have to know, and you just got to be playing and go through reps to get to that point where you see it. So I mean, it's still very early. It's 4 games into the season. It's a
Yep.
sample size thing, but you want to see certain things. And we talked about the Boyan and finding Boyan and him finishing. That's probably the best thing I've seen all year, is how they're utilizing him and
Yeah.
how he finishes. The ability for Duran to do some things and Ivy individually to be able to play, those things are I like that too. But you want to see some more things. Probably the most disappointing thing is Killian right now, and just
Yep.
his
I'm glad you
his
went there. That was gonna be next.
all, all of the stuff that we were very positive about in the preseason. I remember, here was the caveat I said, is those things start to pile up and stack up for Killian. He plays in streaks. If he plays well for 2 or 3 games, he's going to keep playing well. But if that falls off after the second game or after the third game, then it gets low. It's like a roller coaster. It's going to go up and it's going to go right back down. And you need him to be as steady. If he can give you 6-7 or 7-6 or something like that for 4 or 5 straight games, that's the mark of when he's starting to figure it out. Not, people get so high about, well, he had 12-6 today. That's not an indicator of anything. It's only an indicator if that next game is 7-7, then the next game is 8-5. If you start to see that level of consistency from him, then he's finding a groove. But when you get 0-1, and I was trying to look at his splits too, that just tells you he's not finding that level of consistency that you want.
Yeah, yeah. I pulled it up here. James Edwards III. He had the quote from Coach Casey on Killian Hayes last night. He stated he's not playing at the level he did in exhibition. We
Mm-hmm.
have to find out why. He's putting pressure on himself. He doesn't need to. This is time to grow. And I'm going to take this back further. We talked about it on the show. A lot of people say, "Oh, you guys, you read into preseason too much." No, 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 no. We've continued to connect this back to what we've covered extensively into details with stats. He did this in the regular season last year. He went on a
Mm-hmm.
nice tear that had everybody knowing and believing that he was going to take a good step forward, or at least maintain that same level of production coming into
Mm-hmm.
this season. He showed flashes of it during the Rico runs. He showed flashes of it at the open practice, and he showed flashes of it in preseason. He didn't. He showed more than flashes. Then the regular season hit, and it just seems like he's in his own head. Like he's not playing the same way. Remember, there were things that I remarked about, and you can look at this between the preseason and the regular season. He was directing traffic. He was telling people where to go and looking
Mm-hmm.
for his. We were talking about, hey, who's leading the team in shots with this bench unit that he's playing with, with the guys that he's coming in with. I think that he's another guy that might have to get a little bit more to your point, to your spots. I'm not saying he has
Mm-hmm.
to be someone that's shooting as much as Cade Cunningham, but he has to get to his spots and he has to get there fast. Don't wait. I liked it better when he was coming down and just calling the plays rather than coming down and waiting on sets.
Yep.
Killian Hayes, when it looks like he's just sitting there dribbling and then going off a pick and then passing it and then going to the corner, he just looks like a diminutive player. When he's going out there and I see him kind of dribbling hard, pointing the pick, getting around it and pulling up, even if he misses, I love that aspect of Killian Hayes. Like that's the one that I want to see. And yeah, I'm glad that Coach Casey spoke on it. I'm glad that he stated, hey, yes, there is a difference because the coach is going to expect that he can depend on his players. And this is another wrinkle, guys. Being in sports, a lot of us have played sports. A lot of us have gone through bad streaks. A lot of us know that when you're on a sports team, it doesn't even matter if it's a business or not. It's still a family. It's still a family. You don't just yank a person 4 games in. You don't go and make some type of a rash, change or decision 4 games in. This coach is behind the scenes, I'm sure, ripping Killian a new one. Like, bro, get it together. But in that family love type of way. And that's just me speaking. I don't have any like inside knowledge. It's just from an aspect of being on teams. I remember, man, my coach being on my case behind the scenes, but when we got out there to play, it's because he wants us to do the best. And if you don't give that track record, what is that going to say to the rest of your team and to other players who may think, if I go through a bad stretch, now I get it. Killian's been struggling, and there's been some things that's worked against him over the years, things that he has to get right. Right. So we stated it is disappointing, but Casey has to allow Killian the time. It's nothing else he can really do. He's already moved him to the bench. You know what I mean? Like he's already not starting. They've gone and gotten another backcourt mate that's going to start with Killian with Cade Cunningham. So at this point, it is disappointing to see his play. I hope he figures this out. I don't know how much more Casey can do. This team, when you look at what Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey, they're doing well. Sadiq Bey, he was averaging 18 points up into this game. He didn't take too many shots. He didn't force anything. When you look at the starters, I believe he was a casualty to the fact that there's only so many people who can shoot the ball. But I don't know, man. With Killian is probably as a player, as an individual, as just when I'm looking at the roster, the lone one that I'm like, I'm kind of disappointed in him. Disappointed in his game. It just seems like there's something up top that's just not that's not clicking as the season has started.
Yeah, that's that and everything isn't on that because you and people say this annoys me to no end that Corey Joseph is useless. So are Corey and Killian both useless? Then what? Who's running backup point guard for you? How are you gonna do that? How you're just gonna roll the ball out there? Oh, you could play Cade for 48 minutes with Ivy, and that.
No, right, bro. Just a new lineup, though. Just a new lineup. We don't need the actual facts of what does Casey have to work with in the lineup. Just give me a lineup. Just any new lineup.
That's I don't know. I can't help you. I mean, it's like what I'm saying. It's like you're playing cards and you're playing poker and you don't have a good hand, and then you say, well, give me some better cards. I need a better hand. You can't have a better hand. These are the cards you have. That's it. This is what your hand is. You can't do anything else with it.
Yeah, it's like, when we look at the Going to Work Pistons and the Bad Boys, when we look at the restoration, I believe that that Troy Weaver is now entering the phase of depth building. Learning to compete is about learning to have that depth. Do we say that the Pistons compete when they played the Cavs? We say that they hung with them. They gave them a tough fight, but ultimately they failed and got swept. I don't know how competitive that is or isn't. And it was because of what? Depth. And I'm talking about the series Stanley Johnson being in LeBron James' head, that series. Their depth was lacking. That's what everyone continued to state. And the reason why they couldn't put depth on that team or put anybody around their players that they identified to be kind of the upper echelon and like what Tobias and Drummond was because of the money that they were paying to their starters. When you look at this squad right now, the way Troy Weaver has this roster identified and set up, they can actually go and outfit this whole team with expensive depth, bro. They have a lot of cap space, and the players that they have on the roster, like you stated, are kind of cheap, young, controllable talent.
But there's a window to this, and that this is where you're going to have to pay the piper at some point. You're going to have to make some decisions on you would think that Cade is the center of this. You would think that Bey is going to be in this next phase of what you're doing. But at some point, you're going to have to start paying them bigger money. So even if you go out and get somebody for big money, you're not getting 2 or 3 people.
And so the other guys we got. Yeah.
Right. So that's why you're seeing this sort of Bogdanovich. Let's string this together with shorter contracts that they might be higher priced, but they're 1 or 2 year deals. That and even Olynyk to a degree when they signed that one. Bagley, is that a 4 or 5 year deal? Nope. That's a shorter deal. So all of these are just kind of, let's stitch this together until we can push this down the line and get to where we need to get, because we got to, when you fold and close, you got to sort through these socks and figure out where your matches are.
Yeah.
And you got 4 or 5 different pairs and you're like, where's the other pair? They go, oh, okay, here we go. Here. So it's kind of like that, is that you've got to figure out which guys fit together. If Killian fits, you'll figure it out. If Ivy fits and it looks like it, you'll figure that out. Livers looks to be a piece that is one of those pieces that you need, a guy who's just sort of, he's there. Hamadou's contract, is that a long-term contract? Nope. Corey Joseph? Nope. So and even that trade with the Knicks, as masterful as it was, did you bring on big long-term contracts? No. So you're flexible in the short term to kind of do some things until you figure out which pairs of socks match and which ones don't. So we're still not at the phase, and you said it earlier, we're not at the phase where you panic. If this was next year, you could panic a little bit more. This is still this year where you do a little bit more figuring out, but you want to see certain things start to happen. And you're seeing a couple of them. You're seeing that Duren is way ahead of schedule of what you thought. And I said this in real life, that Duren might play in the G League. That dude is not going. That dude might not play at the Wayne State Arena
real life.
ever in his life. He may not ever set foot in that arena in his life. That dude.
He may support like some friends on the team or something.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe we got to leave that window of opportunity.
He might go in street clothes, but that dude is not going to play a game in a Motor City Cruise jersey whatsoever. He is just going to take. But we know this. The 2 positions that are hardest to learn for rookies and to adjust: point guard and center. Very much so.
Yep. I've been pleased with Jaden Ivey's playmaking, his ability to just handle the ball and get a rebound and just go. When we drafted him, these are the things we talked about. His speed and space, and we believe that the NBA was going to open up a whole world of possibilities for Jaden Ivey, and it has. To me, it just simply has. You look at the proof. This guy grabs the basketball, and in the home opener against Orlando, I got the privilege of sitting in the media section with a couple different scouts. One of them, John Lawyer. People may remember that name. With the LA Clippers now, old assistant coach for the Pistons. The other one, his name was Fred. I'll just name him as Fred. He told me don't share, last name or anything like that. But with the Knicks, and they were both like, obviously the Knicks' opinion I actually cared about as related to Jalen Duren. He was like, yo, Jalen Duren that's a man. That's an NBA player.
Yep.
I was just kind of asking him questions, and with Jaden Ivey, they both were just like fast. They were like not just like running. They were like, that boy gets the ball in his hands, and it's just like the ball makes him go to a whole nother speed. I was just like, yo, yep. And right when we were talking about that in the game was when he had one of those off the rebound, coast to coast, right to the rim.
Gone. There was another play. I can't remember whether it was No, it wasn't last night. It was the Pacers game, I think. He was in the half court, or he might have been in transition, and he was going to the rack, and he kind of threw the ball through the hole, and both defenders kind of converged to try to close that off. Yep. He jumped through them, closing off, just jumped through it, got to the ball in front of him, and got to the rack.
Dude,
that's just different. It's right. He's on a different speed. You know how you listen to a podcast or you watch a movie and you're fast forwarding. Everybody else is at regular speed, and he's on that 1.5 speed of he in the half court. And I did see this play last night. He was going around the edge, and I think it was that reverse left hand scoop on the left side going under the backboard.
Yes. He just ran by him, bro.
He just got the corner. It's the speed to get there, and the guy cuts you off, but it's the body control to go around that and just get that corner and enough of it where you can get up in the air and get a shot up. That's different. That's you don't see cats do that. You will see somebody else go and then just stop and turn around because it's not there. He can get through that. And when he learns to control that a little bit more, because now he's having to shoot that, he's having to shoot that kind of reverse, that left on the right hand side under the rim. That's a tough shot. That's not going to happen. But when he starts getting that, he's going to be reverse dunking with two hands on people, and it's going to be real ugly and nasty when that happens.
And those are the things that with Jaden Ivey, I'm going to ask you in a little bit, what are some things you would like to see him do better? But these were the things that I was excited about with him. Remember, we were talking about it earlier. So I'm gonna take this progress. That left hand funky layup. I know the dunk's on the way, but remember, at first we were saying, "Yo, is he getting to the rim and then passing? Is he getting to the rim and not just put the layup up at least?" Now he's putting that layup up. He's getting to the rim and he's looking to score. I believe next, and this is where I said his game kind of to me was a little bit more Dwayne Wade than necessarily John Morant. Ivy don't have to dance with the ball. Wade just kind of one little bloom, and then I'm baseline and I'm dunking on you. And that's where I believe this is headed next. A couple people they asked, is his athleticism? Does he have the ability to do it? I believe he does, but I believe confidence-wise, he's never been a guy who has been dunking on people. As he continues to realize, I'm the most athletic, and the NBA space is like a trampoline in the middle of the floor. He's going to get there because that play last night, I want to look at it one more time. I believe if he had that Dwayne Wade in him, he definitely would have been yamming, and I believe that that's something that is learned. It's something that will come in time. Dwayne Wade, I try to tell people this. Dwayne Wade came into the NBA, with 5 years of college? He was a little bit more mature. He was coming in a little bit more like these, and he was dunking on college kids. Like he got to that maturity level in college and then went to the NBA with that kind of that type of stuff matters. Jaden Ivey comes from a very, very good basketball stock, very, very good basketball program, very, very good basketball family. And as he matures and gets that kind of, that frame built out even more, which is already like, I believe that, he'll see his confidence. There's only so many times that he's going to get to that rim the way he is and realizing there's no one who can stop me before he just says, just turn my hand over and dunk it. Just turn over. Let me go out here and get it. Let me make sure I get a poster real quick. Jaden Ivey wants to be seen, and I love that about him.
Yeah, and just wrapping up here, I like what Ivey's doing, and it's just the control of what I want to see from him is better control on his 3-point shots and better discernment on the threes he should be taking. So it's kind of those threes that we see Bojan taking.
Yeah,
in control, feet set, ready to go. Those are the ones I want to see Ivey taking. And he's at 43%. So I'm not going to complain about what he's doing. It's just the selection of which ones you're taking is what I want to see a little bit different from him. And last thing I got for you, Ben Math, man.
We talked about him.
That dude, I'm just saying, that dude.
He's the player that when I hear people talk about KPJ and some of these other guys that they say we missed out on, we didn't miss out on Ben Mathurin, but that's the type of guy that you should be saying that about, not KPJ or these other guys. Ben Math, like what we said we saw out of him in the tournament. We talked about him all a lot on our pre-draft, in our draft coverage. That guy, he's it. I liked everything that I saw from him, man. I did.
I mean, that's woo. I
will put the Pistons context back on there as we bring this thing to a wrap. Just kind of recapping some of the highlights and some of the lowlights from this Pistons game and trying to put some things in perspective. I didn't really foresee Jaden Ivey through 4 games, 16 points, 4.3 rebounds, 5.5 assists per game, shooting 43% from 3-point and 48% from the field, 1.5 steals. I didn't really foresee that. I don't know how many people did. I believe that we got a good one with Jaden Ivey. I don't think that this is a sidekick thing. I think this is hero, Batman, Superman with Cade and Jaden Ivey. especially if he continues to show this type of production. He's impressing me. He really
Yep.
is.
Yep.
So
He's going to be there, and I think as Cade leads this team, we'll
yep.
see Ivy take a similar type of jump. As Cade gets better, he will get better too.
Cade, dude, my goodness, man, Jaden Ivey, and as Troy continues to put more talent, how much
Yep.
more methodical does it allow Cade Cunningham to be? Like, how
Mm-hmm.
much more probing? Like, I'm telling people, I just want to see this roster when he can actually kind of play a pick and roll off Marvin Bagley and have Alec Burks on the right and Boyan on the left.
Yep.
With Jaden Ivey just slicing through the lane, just running around crazy, like Rip Hamilton. Like, when I can see that, and that sucks. If that offensive set sucks, then you know what, guys, I'll jump on and kind of I'll rap with you a little bit. I'll break bread then, but I want to see that first. I do.
Yep.
Anything else for the people, Rod?
No, I mean just chill out, because we said give it 10 games. Holler at me 10 games into the season, and we still got some more time to come. There are some positives, and no, the 1-3 record, you don't like that, but at the same time, well, I mean, you got 2 games with Atlanta, Golden State, and 2 in Milwaukee. So yeah, let's talk next week. If this is 1-8 this time next week, then yeah, we can break bread and talk something. But I think there's more improvement that they can do.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, this is the game where I want to see Killian get going. I think that this is the Killian series right here, the home and home series. Actually, it's just the LCA series with the Hawks and the Pistons. Get going, Killian. He's had some of his better games. He's had some of those more confident games. I want to see him get going, prove it tonight, because if he doesn't, it's not like these games are getting any easier. You know, I'll end on this note here. We got Killian out here looking at this these Hawks games right here. Let's see if he can get it in, man. Let's see if he can get it in. But hey, till next time, for Jeff Iafrady, for Detroit News, Rod Beard. Hey, yo, I am your boy Detroit Kool-Aid, Brandon Dent. Tune in tonight, to watch the Pistons. We're going to tap in as well from the arena, and we're gonna also hit you guys up with another post game. What you see, guys, take it with some parts a grain of salt. This is a development season. It's a year to grow. That's what Coach Casey has said. They're gonna learn to compete this year. And as we go throughout this year, there's a lot that's gonna be revealed. So definitely, man, strap in. Let's listen to Rod. Let's wait. Let's get those 10 games. Let's get to 15 games. Let's get through a quarter of the season. And then, then we can get to business. Then we put on the bibs, put the barbecue sauce on, and we can get to work, man. Then we can do that with our charcoal grill.
Well, with the charcoal grill, it's just like that. And that was the comparison I was going to make earlier. When you're cooking something, you flip it over and you kind of look and say, is it done yet? Nah, all right. Well, we got to wait a little bit more. And that's what this team, that's what this team is you got some burgers or something on the grill. Is it done yet? No. People want this to be like in the microwave. Pop it in the microwave and it's done in 10 seconds. Sit out there, sit on the outdoor furniture, have a nice beverage, and enjoy yourself, and come back and check it in a few more games.
It's like the weather the last few days. The Pistons are like the weather. We know it's fall. We know it's not going to be a good season. Winter's here. We get that. But just enjoy it. You had a couple nice days. Those days are Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham. You know, Sadiq Bey's average is still like 15, 16, 17 points a game, even after last night. Just kind of look at the season and put on, I would say, put on your GM hat. Not your 2K hat, guys, but your actual GM hat this year. Look at this team from assessment standpoint. Let's have some conversations in the future. Let's go.
That's it.
Hey. Thank you, brother.